Hello, hello. Who's live? We're live. Come on. Where are you? It's a bit of an impromptu live. I know I didn't advertise it, but I know some of you are around. And yeah, I think probably order of the day is going to be, Usyk versus Dubois. The rematch. All thoughts on that? If you'd like to talk about anything else, of course you're welcome to. But yeah, who's out there? I know it's Friday night and you're all out, drinking and doing naughtiness, but I'm not that exciting, so I'm here. Here we are. Surprise! Joe with the live, a rare treat. Big up. Hello there. Who we got here? Chris. Hello, Chris. Salut, Joe. Says Sean. Owen. Owen Foster. Hello. Hello to you all. Hope you guys are well. What's on your mind? Let's hear your opinions. Actually, I forgot to check the battery on this laptop. What we got? 79% remaining. So yes, get your questions in while the battery lasts. Usyk versus Dubois, the rematch. What do you think? Do you think Dubois deserves a rematch? Would you have preferred to see Parker or Caballel get that fight? Because we've seen Dubois and Usyk before, of course. Who else have we got? Peter's here. Hey, Joe. Peter, which round? Late stoppage for me, Peter. Sean says, and still. Yeah, I'm with you, Sean. Yep. I think repeat rather than revenge. May the best man win. I don't want no controversy, fake or otherwise. But let's hear what you got to say. Owen Foster. Final prediction for Usyk versus Dubois 2. I'm going Usyk by clear decision. Yep, that's a possibility. He has improved, Dubois, as we know. Joseph. Hey, Joe, what do you make of this guy, Fox? Did he actually have a boxing career? George Fox is the son of Don Charles. He had, 5 professional fights and lost 1 to the journeyman, the Polish journeyman, whose name I forget. Finally finished his career because he was banned for PEDs. I can't remember the bloke's name. But yeah, he lost that one. Hasn't fought for a few years, though. Fox. Downsy, hello Joe, hello Downsy. Hey, Downsy's here. Go give Downsy a sub, but he's a nice fella. Good to see you, Downsy. I believe Parker. This is Owen saying I believe Parker should have had it, or should have it. He did fight on the last crescendo. Otherwise, both have done well in coming back. Yeah, you're right. Well, fantastically well, both of them. I mean, I don't begrudge a return for Dubois because I think he has sort of earned it. But you can make a strong case for Joseph Parker and Caballel instead. And of course, we have seen Dubois fight Usyk before. So, but I'm not complaining too loudly. James says, "Hey Joe, me and the wife have got tickets for tomorrow. Excellent, pretty high up, but hopefully we get a decent view. Take your binoculars, mate." I haven't watched boxing at Wembley Stadium, but I've seen gigs, and trust me, well, in fact, scrap the binoculars, take a telescope, all right? But have a good time, mate. You and your missus have a good time. Owen says, I believe, however, the most impressive contender at the moment is Caballel. I kind of go with that, yeah. Definitely deserves a shot, doesn't he? How about the face-offs? This is who's this? Basildon boy. How about the face-offs? Dubois bottled the stare off twice. I think Dubois knows his number. Yeah. Can you read too much into that? I don't know, mate. I just think that Dubois is not on the same level mentally, psychologically as Usyk. But then who is? You know what I mean? Hey, mate. Says, well done, Bob. Nice to see you live. Thanks for popping by, Bob. Appreciate it, mate. Peter says, Daniel will headbutt the fight away if the ref allows it. I've got an idea that Team Dubois might be in for some dirty stuff. They might be putting it on him. Yeah. Chris, what's Chris say? Chrissy G79. I would like to see Parker fight Caballero. Then we will know who really is next in line. Think Parker was up for it. Yeah, that's a good fight. Don't get me wrong, that's a great fight. But I think you can make an argument that they both deserve a title shot equally. And I think if the belts go up in the air, then you will see both of them get a piece of one belt or the other, and they might do it that way. But yeah, it would be a great fight, no doubt, no doubt. Martin says, Joe, great work, no gimmicks, the best boxing channel. I appreciate those kind words, Martin. Thank you very much, sir. Ghost of the Big Tex, off topic. Do you know of the flyweight from the 90s, Yuri? Yes, I remember him. WBC flyweight champ is coming back to me. Yes, I do remember him, though. Good fighter. Didn't have a particularly long career, if I remember rightly. I'll have to look him up, mate. But yes, I do vaguely remember him. Joseph says, I think there's a reasonable chance of dodgy officiating tomorrow. Well, there always is, Joseph, isn't there? Let's be honest, mate. There's always one judge, isn't there, out of the three who seems to have been away with the fairies. But I don't know. Owen Foster, I personally believe that although Dubois has done well returning, his comeback is overrated to an extent. Miller is an overweight journeyman. A lot of headbutts against Hrgovic. Joshua fought stupid. You can make those arguments. I'd say Miller's probably, well, you know my opinion on Miller. I can't stand the guy, but probably better than a journeyman, I would say. But he shouldn't even be in boxing as far as I'm concerned. Joshua got ambushed, I think, and yeah, he did fight stupid. Headbutts against Hrgovic, yeah, you can make that case. Yeah, it's a strong argument there. Owen says Joshua couldn't have made the Dubois fight more easier. Upright, hands down, timid and easy to hit. Made Dubois look like prime George Foreman. Usyk doesn't fight like that at all. Well, absolutely not. Usyk's a lot better than AJ. And yeah, Joshua is mentally a strange one as well. Always second guessing himself. He fought like he didn't really have any kind of tactics or anything. You know what I mean? It was strange. It was strange. Maverick says, does Dubois have Asperger's syndrome, possibly, or autism of some sort? Yeah, I think that's kind of an open opinion, open secret. Maybe there's something wrong with him. I don't accept that he's just plain dumb, because sometimes he strings when he talks about something he's interested in. I mean, he ain't exactly, Bertrand Russell, but at the same time, he's not a complete imbecile. But I think, yeah, autism, Asperger's, probably right. Yeah. Hello, Lee, from inside the distance, from the distance. Hello, Lee. Thank you for dropping by, mate. Maverick says Dubois hit Usyk with multiple low blows in the last fight. Yeah, and didn't. How many rounds would you say Dubois won against Usyk in the first fight? Not that many. It was very one-sided, which is probably why, they've got to soup up this fake narrative about it not being a low blow, which is, I think, a load of crap. But I'd say Joshua is a modern-day Frank Bruno. No, Owen, I think he boxes well. I think there's a bit more, slightly more variety than with Bruno. I'm old enough to remember Bruno from start to finish. And I'd say he's achieved more than Bruno. And I like Frank a lot, but yeah, I don't really see the styles as being the same. Both, I mean, Bruno had a very good jab, and people say Bruno had a lousy chin. I don't accept that. He didn't know what to do when he was hit, when he was stunned. He didn't know how to grab and hold. If you look at the Jumbo Cummins fight, and when he got knocked out by Bone Crusher, he just didn't know what to do. He froze. And against Lewis, he was winning that fight with the jab. He was out jabbing Lewis. Was a very good boxer. But nah, yeah. Joshua and Bruno, people say they're the same. I'm not convinced. Can Dubois spell X? Can he indeed, mate? Says Maverick. Yeah. Only by accident, probably. I don't know. Charlie M. Did you see DAZN are creating a new tier of subscriptions for Riyadh cards? No, I didn't see that. I'm not sure exactly what that is involving, but I'll take a look. I am a DAZN subscriber. I was about to throw the towel in, and then Turkey came along with his no more pay-per-view, so I thought I'll give him another chance. Joshua's actual ability to take a shot is good. He's similar to Bruno. He can't recover quickly and freezes up. Yeah, I agree with that, Owen. Yeah. Peter said, what's Peter saying? Daniel was schooled by his father. That's why he seems like he's a strange one, isn't he? That bloody Stan Dubois is a funny one. I agree with you there, Peter. By any means necessary, Dubois going to use any means, says Lee from inside the distance. Yeah, I expect some naughtiness from Dubois, obviously from the instructions of his corner, Don Charles, etc., etc. We've talked about him extensively in the past. Owen Foster, I'd say with AJ, is much faster than Bruno, bigger and more athletic, a little better version of Bruno, but has similarities. Yeah, that's a fair comment. Yeah. Hear me now. This is Dubois' first defense of the belt. He was gifted. So really it's the title fight he should have fought to earn the belt. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair comment. Yeah. No one thinks of Usyk as being anything other than the heavyweight champion of the world. I'd say Dubois is a titleist. XK Shots says Bruno gave Lewis a tougher fight than I thought he would. Me too, mate. Yes. And again, the jab was excellent from Bruno. He really did have a very good jab, Bruno. When he was on it, he's an underrated heavyweight. Chrissy G79, I think his team, his dad, is convincing Daniel that he'll be a lot better now and it will be different. But when he realizes it's the same, he will capitulate. I do think that this fight will be won psychologically as much as with the fists. Yes, so I agree with you there. Thoughts on the Manny fight? I expect Barrios to win it. Points probably. If he stops him, it'll be impressive. But I think wide points win for Barrios. Maybe a late stoppage. Downsy, Joe, regarding the result tomorrow, do you think Don is for the chop? Yes, if he gets out of line, he'll be kicked out. If he shuts his mouth and does what he's told, he'll stay on and collect the paychecks. Yeah. But disappointing how Don Charles has panned out, mate. Very disappointing. Maverick 77 defender. Does Dubois really punch that hard? It took a lot of rounds to finish off Joshua, considering Joshua was out after the first round. Free punch. Andy Ruiz finished Joshua a lot easier. Well, the thing about Joshua is against Ruiz and Dubois, he was getting up. I mean, I know he was, out of it, but he didn't roll over. He kept getting up. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with Joshua's heart. I think psychologically he's a strange one because he just doesn't seem to. He doesn't seem to make his mind up about things, about what he wants to do. In that sense, he's a little bit similar to Dubois in that he needs to be told what to do. But even then, he's second guessing it. He's almost trying to be too cerebral, whereas Daniel is just, it's flatline when it comes to, ring IQ. It's just do this, do that, and do the other. Canada's boxing channel, Bob. Hello, Bob. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Joe. Good stuff as always. I always appreciate your support, mate. Thank you very much. Ian Watson says Dave Allen has been parked up by Eddie Hearn. What is happening with Dave? See, I quite like Dave versus Wilder. It's crazy, isn't it? But I quite like that fight when it was mentioned. We'll see. Dave's another odd cat, isn't he? Who'll win? Ngannou versus who have we got here? Sorry, I'm losing my place. Ngannou versus Wilder in boxing. Well, at the moment, I mean, Wilder looked so awful last time out. In fact, he's looked awful in his last 3 fights. I don't know. I just don't know. Ngannou, I think Wilder should win, but you just don't know the state he's in. Peter Johnson, howdy, Joe. Hope all's well. Good with me, Peter. I hope it is with you. Shots says Bruno had major stamina issues. He only just held on to beat McCall. Yes, he did. He was hanging on for dear life. And obviously the early rounds, won him the fight. But McCall was, even though he threw relatively little for the first 8 rounds, he was grinding Bruno down mentally and making Bruno work. It was that case of perhaps someone is losing the rounds but winning the fight. But Frank did well. I mean, he jabbed very well. You ain't going to put a dent in McCall. You could hit him with a block of concrete and you won't put a dent in his head. Incredible chin, McCall. even now, he's 60 years old. Even now, he's fucking unbelievable. He's still fighting, of course. He fights like a 60-year-old man, but he fights like a 60-year-old man with a great chin. I don't think he's ever been on the floor. Maybe once. Think about that now. Smash the like button, lads, says Lee from inside the distance. Thank you, Lee. And go over and give Lee. Now, listen, lads, go over and give Lee a sub. And Downsy and Bob from Canada's Boxing Channel. Those three lads are top lads. And they've got you know, boxing YouTube things. So go over there and give them a like and a sub and all that good stuff. We especially need to get Lee to 1,000. He doesn't make that many videos, Lee, but they're always quality, real good quality, really good quality. So go over there. Maverick says the ref will be too scared to keep deducting points for low blows, as this might ruin the fight with too many stop starts. What this fight needs is Mills Lane. Someone should have cloned that little bugger, because that was a tough guy who wouldn't take any bullshit from anyone. And that's what we need tomorrow. Keelan says Parker would have done all right in the 90s, I reckon. Yeah, he could have competed. I see Joe Parker is predicting a late stoppage by Usyk, says Bob from Canada's Boxing Channel. Is he? Yeah, well, so am I. So is it a case of great minds think alike or great minds get everything bloody wrong? I don't know. Oh, God. Let's have a look. Who have we got here? Go on, losing my place. Okay. Evening, Joe. Hope you're well. Love the channel. Always great work. Do you think Usyk will retire after beating Dubois tomorrow or stick around for a couple more fights? And that is from C to the Y or they. Some of these names, mystery in it. No, probably have one more. One more. He said he wants one more. Whether he can stay away from boxing or not, I don't know, because he's very much in love with the sport. You know what I mean? But he'll have one more, I think. And of course, if he loses to Dubois, which is possible, perfectly possible, then I wouldn't completely rule it out. I make Usyk the favourite, and I think he'll win, but it's possible he could lose. So we'll have to see. Okay, who we got? Peter asks, are you at Wembley, Joe? No. The stadium fights never interest me, mate. I'm just not interested in stadium fights. Again, it's a case of, I suppose you'd say, you're watching a couple of ants scurry around and yeah, you've got a big telly up above it, but what the fuck, I'd rather stay at home and watch it using other means, of course. Genuine question. This is from INSDB100. Genuine question. Do you think Dubois has Asperger's or is he seriously thick? Yeah, we mentioned this before. He's probably on some sort of spectrum, mate. Definitely. Owen Foster. Who would you have chosen between Jerry Cooney and Brian Crusher Smith in the 80s? It's a good question, huh? Well, Cooney could have won on points. I don't think he'd have stopped Bone Crusher. Don't forget, Cooney got a facile one-round win over Ken Norton, and there was, who else was it? Was it Jimmy Young? He stopped in a round? I can't remember offhand. But he was knocking out people that were way, way, way past it. And then he met Holmes and gave a better than expected account, although he was on the floor. But I would pick Cooney to win on points against Bone Crusher, because Bone Crusher, even though he hit very, very hard, he did tend to give rounds away with inactivity at times. I mean, when he knocked out Bruno, I think he was behind on points. So I think Cooney might have been able to control him, certainly over 10 rounds, over 12. I think Cooney on points, probably. I always want to see Gary Mason fight Bruno. R.I.P. Mason. Yes, Gary Mason. Very, very slow, but very, very powerful. Do you remember the fight he had with Jess Harding when he knocked him out in 2 rounds? Cool, that was a brutal knockout. Brutal knockout. And a good fighter. He was never going to beat Lewis, but good fighter. Maverick. Dubois recovered very well from the Joshua punch, but this was a Josh who was basically out by that point. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, you're talking about the 10th round of the second fight, are you, Maverick? Yeah, good. Yeah, it was a good body punch, wasn't it? I still think there is a question mark for all this talk about body punching. I think there's a question mark with Usyk to the body. I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as people say, but he does look a bit perturbed if you hit him to the body. But we'll see. We'll see. Craig Allsop says Usyk stops Daniel in round 9. Could be that'd be a repeat, wouldn't it? The first fight. Owen Foster, Bone Crusher Smith got a title shot against Holmes after knocking out Bruno. Imagine what Holmes would have done to Bruno at that point. Well, he'd have beaten him, wouldn't he? Let's be honest. He'd have completely outclassed him. Dinorino. Hi, Joe, a fan from Israel here. Thank you very much, sir. You are welcome. Of course you are. And welcome to the show. Thank you for your support. Canada's boxing channel. I see Fraser Clark has been ordered to fight TKV for the British title. Thoughts? Yeah, I expect Fraser to win that one, mate. Probably by stoppage. Grind him down in about 8 rounds, shall we say? What do you think, Bob? Leave your comments. Neil Wright, great channel, Joe. Can't see anything but a Usyk demolition. I'll make it closer, but I am picking Usyk to repeat. Yeah. But I don't think it'll be easy. I think the early rounds, he's got to be mind his P's and Q's earlier on when Daniel is fresh and hungry and probably throw in a fair few rabbit punches and headbutts and God knows what else. I hope Usyk and his team are prepared for that possibility. We got Bruno sparred Holmes back then, says Joe. Yes, he did. Yeah, I don't know how he got on, but Holmes was very good, very, very good. Rem says, "How are you, Joe? Late to the live? Not really, mate. I think we've only been going for about 20 minutes, but welcome, of course, Rem. Always welcome. Regular commentator on the comments, and it's always appreciated. I always like reading your comments, Rem." Maverick says, has all the money and fame gone to Usyk a bit? Is he as hungry, a bit overconfident? It's always possible, but I think if it's unlikely with anyone, it's going to be Alexander Usyk, isn't it? I think perhaps the opposite might be true, or not the opposite, but I think it might be true of Dubois, more specifically Don Charles. Talk about having a bit of success, turn you into a bitter, vengeful person. Very disappointing. I used to really like Don Charles, and I just think he comes across as being really obnoxious now. Joe says Bruno was the rabbit punch king. He did that a lot against Tyson, didn't he? Was it both fights? Well, certainly it was the first fight. He was whacking rabbit punches like they were going out of fashion. Yeah. Let me find where I am. This fucking thing. Every time I do a live, this fucking thing keeps jumping forward. Joe says, McCall, never been down in a fight or a spar. Yeah. God, what a tough man. Unbelievable. He must just have some sort of neurological mutation that means he can't be hurt. Owen Foster, I would love to have seen Merciless Ray Mercer against Oliver McCall in the 90s, both very similar. Yeah, well, he had a fantastic chin, Mercer, until it got cracked by, was it Klitschko? Did one of Klitschko he had some jaw damage and it was never the same, and then he started getting stopped. I think a few people ended up stopping him after a while, but yeah. Okay. Thank you for the shout out, Joe, says Bob from Canada's Boxing Channel. You're welcome. Always welcome, mate. What's this, guys? Mogo UK. Dave Allen is on TalkSport commentary tomorrow. Hope he can last a good few hours without snacks. Yeah. Imagine what he'd have been like if he'd had more discipline. Yeah. Just shows you how much of this game is mental. Simon Bird, hope you're well, Joe, and everyone else, of course. Thank you, Simon. Simon is a long-term subscriber. I always appreciate your comments, mate. Thank you, sir. Peter Southwest, Joe does great for boxing. Me? Thank you very much. Thank you. What's the beef between Mayweather and Roy Jones about? Asked Maverick. Well, I think this is to do with Jones just saying Mayweather's not the greatest ever, and that, you know, he's talking a lot of cobblers when he calls himself TBE. And of course, Mayweather, being an absolute narcissist, is not going to put up with that. Now, for me personally, and there is a black mark over him because he failed a PED test at one point, but Roy Jones is the best boxer, not in terms of technical, not in terms of boxing in the traditional sense or boxing in the textbook sense, but Roy Jones is the greatest boxing talent, let's put it that way, of my lifetime. And that includes Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, and everyone, Tommy Hearns, everyone else I've seen, Hagler. Roy Jones is at his peak, was just about as untouchable gets. And the fact that he fought on for about 15, 20 years too long and ended up with 10 defeats on his record is awful. Because if you'd said to me he will retire with 10 defeats on his record, I would never have believed you ever. If he'd have quit after beating John Ruiz, people would be talking about him as being the greatest to ever do it. He'd be up there with Ray Robinson, you know, Greb, Benny Leonard, Langford, Robinson, all of them. He'd be up there with all of them. Craig Allsop, what's your take on the fight? Daniel or Usyk? Late stoppage for Usyk, possibly points, but I'll go for a late stoppage. And again, psychologically, he will dominate him as much as with the fists and the feet, of course. Fights are won with the feet as well as the fists, as we know. Joe says Usyk in 6. I think that's a bit early, mate, but you know, you might be right. XK Shots Z, whatever. Sorry, however you pronounce that. Yeah, Mills Lane was a good ref. One of the best, mate. One of the absolute best. No doubt about it. I loved him. No nonsense. You know, he was the governor. He was in charge. That's what you want from a referee. Craig Allsop, I want Usyk to lose, want Daniel to knock him out, but see Usyk going into the later rounds and winning. Okay, yeah. Well, your prediction is the same as me. I mean, I am a big supporter of Usyk, but if Daniel beats him fair and square, that's good enough for me. I've got nothing against Daniel Dubois at all. I think the way he's come back is laudable from the 2 defeats earlier on in his career. Maverick says we need Pierluigi Collina, the Italian ref who wasn't scared of nothing. Yeah, I know. I remember him. Yeah, Collina. He looked like a sort of extra from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, didn't he? Oh, yeah, and he was no nonsense. Nothing scared him. Yeah. Rem says, work has me so tired that it's killed some of my enthusiasm for the weekend's boxing. Surely not, Rem. Come on, mate. I know work gets in the way of real life, but yeah, get a couple of Red Bulls down, you feel better, mate. Daniel Cole Hernandez, hello, sir. I don't like the bully boy tactics from Team Dubois. I don't think it's necessary. Completely agree with you, Daniel. Totally agree. Goes to Big Tex. Does anyone know the ref for the fight? That's a good question. Who is reffing the fight? That is a good question. Leave it in the comments because I don't know. Chrissy G79. I know you said in one of the last videos it doesn't really matter about Usyk coming in 5 pounds heavier, but it's a bit strange as he's always come in at the same weight in all his heavyweight fights. Yeah, he's 38. Maybe he's settled into that heavyweight division more and a little bit of extra weight. you see, when you're a heavyweight, if you're a heavyweight, if you're a natural 17 stone, 18 stone man, and you do a hard session, you might lose half a stone in that one little session, training session. You might lose 10 pounds. I don't know. Well, we'll find out tomorrow if it's, if it does matter. I'm saying it's negligible, but I could be wrong. Joe says if Usyk retires, he's ducked Parker. Well, yeah, and if he fights Parker, are we going to say that, and then he retires, are we going to say he's ducked Caballel? I mean, at some point you have to draw a line under your career. I do think that if he's got one more fight left, it's got to be against either Parker or Caballel. I'm not interested in Fury 3. I'm not interested in Joshua 3. I'm not interested in anyone he's fought before. I want to see Parker or Caballel fight him. Darius Horn, is that? Great channel, mate. Good money for Dubois to win. Is it? I haven't looked at the odds. XK Shot says, old man Usyk should have retired. Big mistake. Do you reckon Daniel's got it then, mate, or not? Owen Foster. Owen Foster. If Howard Foster is referee tomorrow, I see Dubois throwing low. Usyk is hurt. Howard jumps in to stop it. Alan Smith screaming on commentary and chants going, "Oh, Daniel Dubois." Yeah. Please don't mention Howard Foster. I still haven't gotten over that first Froch Groves fight. Rem says, I never get people who buy big stadium show tickets. You probably end up watching it on your phone from the stadium. Like you said, ants on a screen. It is, isn't it? I can't do it. It's bad enough when you go to a stadium and watch football and they're in the distance. I mean, I'm a short-sighted bastard, but you know what I mean? Nah, boxing in a big stadium. Give me the small hall stuff every day of the week, twice on Sundays, 3 times on Sundays. Lenore, Tommy Hearns, radiator magnet for the W. Tommy Hearns, radiator magnet for the W. What the fuck does that mean? At 25, this is shots, by the way. At 25, Dubois was too young. At 38, Usyk's too old. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, you know, people do get. Don't forget, of course, we're talking another 24 rounds on his mileage. You know, the 2 fights with Tyson Fury were not. You know, you can't overlook that. That's wear and tear on the body at 38. You got to bear that in mind. Jimmy Young would have beat Cunha and he got cut bad. Okay. Inside the distance. Come on, lad. 60 in the build, only 30 likes. Smash the likes. Thank you very much, Lee. Lee's my manager. Yeah, he gets 25% of fuck all. Keelan, who would win, AJ or Bruno or Fury and Lewis? Lewis would beat Fury and AJ. Got a feeling AJ might beat Bruno. And I think Fury would beat AJ and Bruno. I'm talking about peaks, you know. Peaks, not troughs. Oh, fucking hell. Rem says, you've seen that Dubois has a newborn baby, Joe? Has he? Oh, wow. He hasn't revealed it public, but his girlfriend did on Instagram. Perhaps that's his new motivation. So why he goes to Brazil so much now. Is his girl Brazilian? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. He had a kid. God, no wonder he's confident. Getting his leg over and all that. Not that I'd know. But... Leah inside the distance. Clark beats TKV quite comfortably. Too much craft. Completely agree. Bob agrees as well. Fraser will be too much for TKV. Yeah, he's just a better boxer. I mean, I think Fraser Clark's ceiling falls short of world level, but I think he's capable of being a good European level fighter, and I don't see TKV being that good. Yeah. What else we got here? Goes to Big Tex. It seems there is a unanimous consensus on what Dubois is going to do. I have seen no one guess what Usyk is going to do. Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll go with that. In my opinion, Usyk will Have a look at Dubois. Let him shoot his bolt in the first 2, 3, 4 rounds, and then start going through the gears. By the fourth, he'll probably start letting his jab and a few conservative combinations go. Nothing too extravagant, nothing too greedy. And then from the fifth onwards, he'll go through the gears. Probably stop him in about 10, 11, I'd say. Supreme Supernova. Dubois looks like a primary school kid that was told to smile for the class photo. Yeah, he does actually. Yeah. Bless him. I think he's probably a nice guy. It's just he's had this strange upbringing, and he's, as we've said before, he's probably on some sort of spectrum. And I don't think he's a bad lad. I think he's probably a gentle giant, but he's had this fed into his head, that you've got to be some fucking, pretend to be some sort of roadman or some shit. Be yourself. As Oscar Wilde said, everyone else is taken. Be yourself. Bob at Canada's Boxing Channel. I really hope tomorrow's match is clean of fouls and no PED issue. Absolutely, Bob. Oh, can you imagine? God almighty, no. Brian Reinhardt. A lot depends on how the referee refs the fight. He has to watch those Dubois headbutts. 100% agree, Brian. 100% agree. Keelan, Usyk, defo ain't pleased by fame. Ain't phased by fame, excuse me. It's very small right in here. Usyk definitely ain't phased by fame. Yeah, I agree, Keelan. Yeah, I agree, mate. He is grounded, isn't he? His feet are on the ground. He's got his family, his missus, his kids. I think it comes across, doesn't it? How well grounded he is. The humour, the fact that he doesn't trash talk really at all. Yeah, I think that's why he's so popular as well. Rem says, I still get confused when people say Chisora was Usyk's hardest fight. It has to be Briedis. He has an actual argument for winning it. Yes, he does. Briedis was Latvian, and there haven't been many great fighters from Latvia, but I think Briedis was, a great cruiserweight, a really good cruiserweight who would have completely dominated division, but for Usyk. And then by the time he got his skates on again, he was knocking on a bit, and along came Opataya. But don't forget, even against Opataya twice, we know how good Opataya is. Briedis, an old version of Briedis, was giving Opataya plenty to think about. I mean, the second fight was wider, but the last third of that fight, he was still putting it on Opataya. Briedis was a very, very good fighter indeed. And again, I think if he'd been from a different country, maybe not Latvia, he would have been probably more lauded. You know what I mean? Who's this? Mongo UK. I think once Usyk stopped Dubois, he should walk up to Don Charles, knee him at the bollocks and say, now that's a low blow. 100%, mate. 100%. I love it. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That would go viral, wouldn't it? That little clip. Funny. Matt Balfour says, any chance there's an advantage in Dubois' simplicity, single-mindedness, and ability to follow instructions combined with this improved confidence? He might present a better challenge this time around. That is an excellent point, and I think he will provide a better challenge. I mean, yes, you're right, Matt, in that if you're not thinking too much, if you're not second guessing, in the case of Daniel, first guessing, yes, there's an advantage to that because I've got this mission to do. I'm on a mission. I'm focused. I'm tunnel vision. I'm not capable of seeing anything on the periphery. I'm coming for you. The only problem is that there's no adaptability. So if an Usyk is the ultimate guy who will ask you questions regarding your variety, he will make adjustments. We've seen it so many times. Against AJ and Fury, of course, most notably. And to some extent when he fought Briedis as well. But I think once that happens, Dubois is going to be lost because he will go back to the corner. He will expect to be told what's going wrong. How do I deal with it? And Don Charles, I don't think will have a clue how to go about it. Unless it's going to be, we'll hit him low, elbow him, headbutt him, whatever. I think we'll probably see him unravel later on in the fight. But your point is a good one. I think actually Daniel, by having this single-minded, programmed attitude has actually benefited from it, because he wasn't scared of Hrgovic, he wasn't scared of Miller. Miller was his first fight back after quitting against Usyk. Didn't bother him. In fact, he's answered some questions, and I think he quit against Usyk in the first fight simply because he sort of psychologically unraveled. He couldn't handle it. What am I doing? What do I do next? He didn't know what to do. There's no adaptability. There's no mental variety. There's no ring IQ there. But if you program him correctly with a good game plan, he'll go straight at you, and he's a threat, of course. Yeah. Lee, inside the distance, says Usyk rounds 1 to 3, second gear, rounds 4 to 5, third gear, rounds 6 to 8, fourth gear, rounds 9 onwards. That's all she wrote. Yeah. I think I think first 2 or 3 rounds we might see of quite a very sort of low output from Usyk, Lee, to be honest with you. And then he'll have a look, see what Daniel's up to, and then start going through those gears, of which there are many. Paul Southwest says Usyk's last fight against Jake Paul in UFC. Yeah. See, I've warmed to Jake Paul, not because of his ridiculous fake career, his Harlem Globetrotters career, but because I'm simply, I think he'd actually, with all of his, promotional stuff, I think he's actually doing a good job, and no one's more surprised than me. I've got to be honest. I'm really surprised. I thought this guy's a bit of a tool, but actually, if you look at especially what he does for the women's game, I know people have mentioned this before, but well, he is actually contributing to boxing in a good way. MVP promotions, so I can't really knock him for that. Owen Foster says Shannon Briggs and Vladimir Klitschko were the ones who stopped Mercer. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In his prime, I'd say Mercer would lose to Klitschko on points, possibly stopping Briggs late. Yeah. I was surprised when Briggs knocked Mercer out. Was that 6th round? Knocked him flat, didn't he, under the rope? I don't seem to remember. A little flashback there. Yeah. Jake Gallagher, not sure who's left for Usyk after he wins tomorrow. Might be a good time to walk away. Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge him that, but he wants one more fight. And again, now if the one fight he's got left isn't against Parker or Caballel, one of those two, I will be very disappointed in Usyk. And I'm a massive Usyk fan, absolutely massive. I mean, I won't condemn him, but I'll be critical. You hold me to that, definitely. Women's boxing is on the rise. Do you agree? Asked Darius Horn. Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's been jumping up huge quantum leaps in the last 12 years. And I like women's boxing. I like boxing. I don't care whether it's women or men. I just like to see a good boxing fight, a good boxing contest. And the quality of the women's game is jumping up, exponentially. It's very, very, very impressive. Still not deep enough talent pool, but that we're getting there. We'll get there within the next 10 years. Rem says, I saw an interview with Dubois team and they said the key to beat Usyk is to punch when he faints. I can see that being successful, but not for 12 rounds. Yeah. Well, we're talking timing, aren't we? We're talking understanding the opponent, what they're doing, looking for their little tells, their little signs, the little giveaway signs, and then acting on it. With Usyk, though, he has got so much variety. He's so adaptable. It's going to be difficult to do, like you say, for 12 rounds. But in my view, Dubois needs to do what he does best, which is go forward, pump that jab. He's got a very, very good jab. He will get hit at times, of course, but then he took full-blooded punches from Hrgovic without going over, and Hrgovic can wallop. And Usyk doesn't have one-punch power. He's a stiff puncher, but it's not one-punch power. I mean, he couldn't put Joshua on the floor in 24 rounds. It took a shitload of punches to put Fury down by the ropes. The ropes kept him up and all that. But I think Dubois just got a steam ahead. And if he runs out of gas or he runs out of ideas, that's fine. But he needs to absolutely leave everything in the ring, Dubois, to win this fight. Who have we got? Shot says, I wonder who number 50 will be for Chisora. I hope he gets Wilder. That'd be a good fight. Yeah, that'd be a good fight. I still like Chisora, Dillian White 3, but that ain't going to happen, is it? I think White gets wiped out by Talma. There we are. Just got no punch resistance left. James, do you ever go and watch boxing at the York Hall? Yes, I do, but I haven't been for a long time. I've been to the York Hall more times than I can mention. I love it there. I always loved the small hall stuff because, you know, ringside tickets are pretty cheap. And also you see the up-and-comers. Like, I mean, who have I seen at the York Hall? The Coley, Conor Benn, God, Sonny Edwards I saw. You know, I mean, you see these kids when they're winning, you know, British titles or whatever, or even area titles. And it's just great. There ain't a bad seat in the house. There ain't a bad seat. It's brilliant. Maverick says Don Charles has a strong African accent, so I thought he was a bit racist. He was a bit racist, hypothetical, by telling Usyk he couldn't understand his accent when he said, "Don't push the horses." He knew what he was saying. He was just talking shit. Don is unfortunately a very bitter man. It's very sad to see. There's Owen Foster says there's something about Floyd I can't get over. He's so unlikable. Yeah, he is unlikable. Because he's shallow. Money Mayweather, you know. Look at me. I've got lots of money. Money defines me. Look, I've got you know, $1 million worth or $1 million worth of watches in a case. Do you want to see them? Look at them, and they're all like these gaudy diamond-studded things. Which Lee, from inside the distance, he knows his watches. He'll tell you about that. But I mean, come on, man. It's, you know, what about your morality? What about humor? What about your intelligence, your intellect? What about your views on the world, on other people? There's no depth there. It's just shallowness. He's a great fighter, Floyd, but dull. And inside the ring and outside the ring. Inside the ring, he was dull as money. He was quite exciting as Pretty Boy Floyd. But when he adapted his style because of his bad hands and putting on the weight, he became very dull, I think. Ming59 says Usyk is the new Marvel's Marvin Hagler in attitude. That's worth more than you can teach. Yeah, I'd say very different characters, but I know what you're getting at. Yeah, consummate professional, like Marvin was. Marvin's one of my favourite fighters. I mean, I don't think he's the greatest middleweight ever. I've got him in my top 3, but one of the great talents. And let's talk about maximising your talent. He did that, and then some. Great fighter, Marvin Hagler. I loved him. R.I.P. Marvin. Canada's Boxing Channel, Bob says, Roy Jones, a modern example of going on way too long. Yeah, tragic, Bob. It is tragic, mate. Do you know his last fight was against some novice, some MMA fighter, or some kid who might have even been making his debut, and he lost on points. He was like 51 at the time or something. It's horrible to see. This kid wouldn't have lasted 40 seconds with the prime Jones, but horrible stuff. Supreme Supernova says, Usyk within 10 rounds. Okay. Owen Foster, I believe Floyd is a very nervous person, Nordic. How he's never in boxing games, as he calls for ridiculous amounts of money to be in them. I think he's terrified to be rated lower, higher than others. So he asked for ridiculous amounts of money to be included in boxing games. Really, I didn't know that. I don't play computer games, but he picks up money for exhibitions, doesn't he? And there's talk of him having another one now that Pacquiao's coming back. Or it's coming back at the weekend. Mike Adams, if Usyk does get a KO, and I think he will, it will be late on after he drowns him. Yeah, I'll go along with that, Mike. Definitely. Owen Foster, did you see months ago when Floyd was attacked in London? Floyd was dressed like a young 90s kid. Well, you know, Floyd ain't the biggest fella. He's a good fighter, but on the street, you know, size does matter. And especially if you're being attacked by a bunch of, you know, a gang, which of course that's cowardice. I didn't agree with him being attacked. I mean, I think that sort of violent act is horrendous, and it's everything that boxing should be against, I think. But do I like Floyd Mayweather? No, I don't. He bores me. There's no interest, no personality there for me. Peter Johnston, what do you think will be the best fight on the weekend, UK and US cards? Well, I'm hoping it's going to be Dubois versus Usyk, obviously, but you can throw out the Barrios Pacquiao thing. Do you know? I think it might actually be Dubois versus Usyk. I can see that being the actual best fight. Sometimes rematches they don't live up to the originals, but the original wasn't a classic. It was a good fight. I think this time with Usyk knowing he's got to really stamp his authority on an improved Dubois, and Dubois coming to cause, as he put it, chaos. I think that might be the best fight. So I'll go with that one. You want to be a snoozer now, isn't it? Mark Odell, are you unbeaten in the ring, Joe? Yes, I am. Predominantly because I've never had an amateur or professional fight, but then I am undefeated. I don't like to boast, really. Lenoir, top 3 boxers with cauliflower assholes. Lenoir, I'm going to leave that to you, my friend. I'm going to leave that to you. Shots. I never forgave Floyd for ducking the De La Hoya rematch, avoiding Khan and aging out a prime Pacquiao. Yes, he did all 3 of those. He did duck the De La Hoya rematch. In fact, he retired, which no one believes, but of course he did retire. Then he put together that massive Showtime deal. He avoided Khan. Khan actually won a poll whether it was going to be him or Maidana. Floyd said, "You choose Khan or Maidana," and everyone went for Khan, and so he fought Maidana. Yeah, I think Floyd would have beaten Khan, but Khan's speed. Khan is very underrated. When he was at his prime, his speed was frightening, and he did throw a lot of punches that weren't necessary. His output wasn't the most thoughtful of output, but the sheer speed of the man, he would have given Floyd trouble for the first 4 to 6 rounds. I think Floyd would have taken over, but once he got his timing down, and yeah. Lenoir, I'll start. Joe Bugner, what, was one of the cauliflower arseholes? Yeah, Bugner. I believe he's in a home now, and he's got dementia in Australia. Bugner. Michelangelo says, not the Michelangelo, surely. IQ test. Atheism as a logical fallacy that assumes God is the religious idea of the creator of the creation. To conclude wrongly, no creator exists because a particular idea of God doesn't exist. Thanks. All right. Thank you, Michelangelo. Maybe it is the real Michelangelo with thoughts like that. King Carlos, if it's Howard Foster, the con is on. Something's on. I don't know whether it's going to be the con or whether it's going to be incompetence, but please, it ain't going to be. It ain't Foster. Fuck's sake. Owen Foster. To be completely honest, I haven't been looking forward to the Usyk Dubois rematch, not because it's an undisputed match in England. I love that. It's a feeling that something dodgy will happen. I hope you're wrong. Yeah. Lenoir says, hope to God Foster is not reffing. He isn't. He isn't, thank God. Why do they do it in kilograms? Says, I've lost my fucking place again. Hang on. This really fucks me off because the scroll keeps shooting forward, and then I've got to fucking find where I was. Here we go. I don't want to be. Yeah, Keelan asks, why do they do it in kilograms? The weights, he means. I don't know, mate. But they do it in kilograms in Europe, probably in Ukraine as well. I mean, Britain, am I right in saying we're the only ones that uses stone? Pounds, other people use pounds, but I don't know. Rem says, I don't want to see Parker, Usyk, Cabell more worthy. I don't want to see Parker, Usyk, Cabell more worthy, I feel. You can make that argument, yeah. I think Cabell is high risk, low reward, of course. So, He finished saying, which is incredible. Yeah, body punching from Cabell on Usyk. That would be a sight to behold. I would love to see that. Like I say, high risk, low reward. So no, I don't think Caballero gets a shot at Usyk. I really don't. Fantasy boxing. What's your opinion on Sonny Liston as a fighter? I've been watching a lot of him recently, and I was surprised at how good as a technician he was. Do you feel he could compete today? Yes, I do. He would have been small by today's standards, even though he was massive back then. Brilliant jab. People always mention Larry Holmes's jab. In fact, he was taught it by Sonny Liston, with whom he sparred. You're absolutely right about Liston being a better technician. And he just had the mistake of bumping into Muhammad Ali. I mean, he wiped Floyd Patterson out twice in a round. And Floyd Patterson isn't the greatest heavyweight champion ever. He was very, very small for the weight, very small. I mean, he'd be small for a modern-day cruiserweight. But to do him in a round twice in a row, he had ability, Liston. Good chin, tough guy. And out of the ring. Nah, not to be fucked with. Yeah, Alex says, hi, Joe. Hello, Alex. Nice one, mate. Joe Bugner earned his respect. Joe Bugner earned respect for himself, you mean, Joe, or what? Mike Adams says, Usyk will face Parker next, I reckon. I saw them chatting recently, and Frank has all but confirmed it. I don't want Fury 3 at all. Neither do I, Mike. Bloody hell. Can you imagine that? Okay. Yeah, Parker next. Or Cabile. Yeah. Simon Bird, as much as I like Dubois, and he arguably deserves his shot, I do feel sympathy for Parker. I think he's been treated lamentably. Yes. I've nothing to add, Simon. I agree with you completely, mate. Bob at Canada's boxing channel. Usyk was 226 and today is 227, but wearing track pants, etc. In my opinion, he's the same weight as usual. Yeah, you're probably right, mate. I said in my video, I don't buy this idea that today's weights are going to sort of mean anything. They don't really, do they? Craig Allsop, you seem like a genuine blessed guy. Keep up. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate that, mate. Really do. Thank you for your kind words. King Carlos, all give Joe a like, lads. Please do. King Carlos, thank you for the shout out there, mate. What we got? 57. We've got 86 in the building, 57 likes. Nice one. Rem says Prime Dubois versus Prime Fury. Fury. For me. Points. Yeah, Fury on points. I'm thinking about it. Just going through it in my head here. Ada Owen, hello Ada, says Usyk for me, but he might have to go longer and knock the stuffing out of the beast, but he's one of the best to do it. Can Daniel blow him away? Could be the right time to get Usyk. Quite possibly. That is possibly, Ada, yeah. It's a possibility. Sometimes people get old overnight. I don't see it happening to Usyk at all, but you just don't know until you get in the ring. And of course, if Dubois was to catch Usyk earlier and knock him out in 3 rounds, people are going to say, oh, Usyk was shot. Those 24 rounds with Fury did him. And there's going to be all sorts of bullshit narratives going on. And that will be wrong because it would take away from Daniel's win. Whoever wins fair and square tomorrow, whoever earns the win, I applaud them. And I applaud the loser. Don't forget, these two guys are fighting in front of 90,000 people. Usyk's doing it away from home. Although I do think there'll be a lot of people cheering him on as well because they like him. But to get in there, to have a fight in the street, which some of us in the distant past may have done, is horrible. The adrenaline's pumping, you're scrapping. There's no technique to it, of course, and it normally lasts, less than 3 minutes. But to do 36 minutes of fighting in front of 90,000 people with millions watching all around the world, these people are built from a very, very different type of cloth, certainly to me anyway. Champ Ross. What's up, Joe Stunner? What's up, Champ Ross? Thank you very much, sir, for your support. We won't mention my appalling rankings in the predictions league recently. Very, very poor showing from me, but we'll move on. Alex, Usyk, 60-40, Daniel. Yeah, I'll go with that, mate. I'll go with that. Mark Odell, Dubois found his missus in a catalogue. Well, he got a job lot over and said, oh, I like that one. In a big crate, one of those container ships. Probably bought her on Temu or something. I don't know. Liam Thomas, why do you think David Haye initially retired after he fought Chisora? Well, he always said he was going to retire at 30, didn't he? Him and Adam Booth talked about that. And then he just wanted more. He just felt he had more to give. And well, I don't know. I mean, he had a lot of injuries. He was too small, really. His frame was too small for heavyweight, which is why he had problems with his ligaments, the muscles. It was manufactured weight at heavyweight. Yeah. But I actually wanted to stay at cruiserweight and just dominate it for many years and go down as one of the great cruiserweights, which he could have done. But he moved up to heavyweight. He beat Valiev, who was 7'2", purely there for his size. Did the basics and nothing else. And then he had, what was it? He had that awful fight with Klitschko, yeah, and then the Audley Harrison farce, and his career petered out for me personally. Shot says, when was Fury at his peak versus Klitschko or Wilder 2? That's a good question. I liked his style against Klitschko when he had Peter Fury in the corner. I think that was a very, very, very good version of Fury. The Wilder 2, he adapted very well. He had Sugar Hill in the corner, didn't he? And he just went straight after Wilder and beat him up. Don't forget, Wilder was outweighed by about 4 stone in natural weight. So you could argue that having got that draw, Fury thought, well, I've been floored twice and I've got up. I'm just going to go steaming after him. But to answer your question, Shots, I'll go for when he beat Klitschko. I think that was a very, very good performance. King Carlos, Usyk at his heaviest. Yeah, not much in it though, mate. Not much in it. Huel Higher. Hello, friend. Hello, Huel. Hi, Canada's Boxing Channel. I'm a big fan. Keep it up. You should all subscribe to Bob over at Canada's Boxing Channel. It's very good. Mark Odell, the ZX Spectrum. What, for Dubois? Yeah, more like the Z Spectrum, I'd say. ZX Spectrum. God, that's a flash from the past, isn't it? Rem says, I remember watching an interview with someone who trained on Team GB with Daniel. They said they woke up at 3 a.m. for a piss and ended up seeing Daniel scoffing fried eggs in the dark kitchen. Really? He's a growing lad, Tony Bartlett, big up Joe. Didn't know you were going live. Yeah, it was a sort of 11th hour thing, mate. But nice to have you here, Toby. Thanks a lot, mate. Hewell says, thoughts on a Coley versus Andy Ruiz? Oh, well, Ruiz is more or less semi-retired. I don't know. I can't give you an answer, really. It'd be pure guesswork. I want to see how Coley gets on against Lorena. He should stop him, I think. If there's anything about him at heavyweight, against a smaller guy like Lorena, he should be able to stop him or win every round. Who's this? Jethro? Jethro says, good day from Tasmania, Joe. Rooster is crowing and the sun will be up soon. Well, I'm glad you got the day ahead, Jethro. It is now 10 past 10 over here, PM. But thanks for joining us, mate. Firebrand. Hello, Firebrand. Liam Thomas, do you believe Madrimov gave Crawford a tough fight? Yeah, tough enough. Yeah, I thought Crawford won it, but it was decent enough performance. He was the champion, of course, Madrimov, but I think the lack of pro fights worked against him, probably. Pete Southwest, I've seen Marius Breda's last fight live, top elite. Yeah, he was good. He's very, very good. So you were at the upper tire fight, second one. Yeah. Firebrand, I think Dubois' simplicity is an advantage for base level competition, not for opponents like Usyk. That's a very good point. Yeah, I would say above base level, I would say, up to B level, maybe even B plus, he has good effect. But when you get to the real elite, like Usyk, might be too much. Reese Cooper, evening Joe, evening Reese. Thanks for joining us. Liam Thomas, what comments is this guy read? Doesn't seem to be in sync with the live chat. Sorry, Liam, but it keeps zipping around, mate. If I'm missing a few, I do apologise. Peter Southwest, looking forward to see Atama rising. Yeah, definitely. Rem, Joe, are you going to be watching all 3 fights tomorrow? Bam, Pacquiao, Usyk. Yeah, I'm going to try to. Yeah, I'm meeting someone in the afternoon, and that person knows who she is. Is she watching? You should be. Why aren't you watching, you naughty girl? Then I'm going home to watch the big fight at Wembley, and then I'm staying up all night to watch. Well, the Bam fight is, I think, it's kind of a gimme. The Pacquiao one is a curiosity, isn't it? Really, but I will. Well, there were some good undercard fights on, so I'll watch those. Yeah. Dubois still seems to be trotting out. This is Andy Hall, by the way. Dubois seems to be trotting out this by any means possible line. Hope he doesn't fight dirty and we get some controversial conclusion. There is that worry. I think he will try a bit of the dark arts. He's got Don Charles breathing in his ear, so yeah. Shot says Usyk might be overconfident. Who could blame him? Hrgovic did that. Yeah, Hrgovic did take him very lightly. I don't think Usyk will do the same, but that's a point well made. Shawnee B, if Usyk or Dubois win, would they fight Joe Parker? How do you see this fight, that fight going? I think Usyk would beat Parker. Actually, I think Dubois and Usyk would beat Parker, and I like Joe Parker, but I have to be honest. I do think Parker. I think Parker has a slight fragility to him, where if he's tagged, he wobbles, he shakes a bit. He was down twice against Zhang, who's a big puncher. Even against Martin Bakole, he was shaken very early. I think it was 30 seconds before he landed his own knockout punch. But I would think that Dubois would stop him, and probably Usyk would stop him as well. And I don't mean that insultingly to Joe Parker, because I like Joe Parker. He has earned his shot, no doubt. Shawnee B, remember, stars make fights, as they say. Yeah, I take your point. I like Joe, but I don't see him beating Usyk or Dubois. Mark Odell, if Daniel uses his head, he may well win this one. Yeah. There's only one way that Daniel can use his head, mate. Shot says props to Usyk for not fighting some MMA bum. Well, the bar would be pretty low if that was the case, isn't it? But yeah, you're right. I agree with you. Jethro, Dubois fought dirty last time. The low blows were flying from the very start. Yes, I agree. Rem says, regarding Turkey saying he's going to remove pay-per-view, Joe DAZN put up a post saying all the pay-per-view events, they will be introducing another subscription called the Ring Pass. How ridiculous. We shall see, because if they start fucking around, I'm going. I've subscribed to DAZN from the very start. But if they start dicking around, you can fuck off. I'm not giving them my money. All Usyk, this is from Mogo UK. All Usyk has to do is mimic Stan Dubois' voice and say, "Put your hands down, Daniel." That's a good point. Yeah. I like that. Bob at Canada's boxing channel. Do you think the idiot son of the bitterest man in boxing, George Fox, would have run his mouth the way he did against Usyk, against any other heavyweight, like Big Baby or Chisora? Well, we know what would have happened, Bob, don't we? He'd have been twisted, turned into a balloon animal. But he's a road man. Okay. Rem, a subscription within a subscription. Yeah. No, bollocks of that. Mark Odell, Don Charles says God is in Daniel's corner tomorrow. Well, he must have the hotline to God, the old bat phone. What can I tell you, mate? Oh! Tushin Rance is back. I am Timmy Turner. Heed my words. Thank you, Tushan. Your life is in danger. Tushan crops up during the lives. I'm glad he's here because we love him. Him and Timmy Turner. God bless you, Tushan. Rem, look who's back. Shut up, Timmy. Bedtime. Ben McGrath. I'm out, so I can't watch the stream properly. Dubois normally lands 28-29% of his jabs against Usyk in the first fight. He only landed 10%. I didn't know that statistic. Usyk dominates for me. Yeah. Like I say, possibly a slow start or a conservative start, but he'll take over, Ben, in my opinion. Kaylin Katev, Kapow 2. Hi, long-time listener here. If Usyk wins, would you accept a different opponent from Parker and Caballero for Usyk's next fight if he drops the belts? No, I want to see him fight. Ideally, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say I want to see him fight Caballero, because I think Caballero is the one with the best chance of beating Usyk because of the bodywork. But I'll settle for Parker, who's earned his shot as well. I don't want to hear anything about Joshua, Fury, any of this bullshit. No. Jethro, do you think we will see Usyk 17 become a major player in the future? Seems to have something brewing there. Usyk 17. Enlighten me, Jethro. I don't understand, mate. You've lost me. Rem says, I would have loved to see Usyk versus Arthur in their primes at cruiserweight. Oh, Baturbiev. Yeah, that would have been beautiful to watch. Yeah, that would have been a good fight. Yeah, hadn't thought of that one. Shot says, I remember seeing Calzaghe take advantage of a washed-up Jones. Terrible fight. Calzaghe should have fought Froch. Yeah, well, he was collecting paychecks when he up at light heavy. Jones had been knocked flat by Tarver and Johnson and had resurrected himself in a sort of manufactured manner, way past his best. In my opinion, Jones would have toyed with Calzaghe in his prime, if they were both in their prime. Darius, do you think Canelo will make easy work of Terence Crawford? And is this the biggest fight in years? It's not the biggest fight in years for me personally. Do I think he will he beat will he beat Crawford? He should do because of the size. But look, mate, let me be honest with you. Canelo is. I wonder about Canelo, how he's become this extremely dominant 168 pounder. When previously he was dragging people down at middleweight, wasn't he, to fight at Canelo weight? And yeah, I hope VADA testing is in place, put it that way. Stringent VADA testing. If I was Crawford, I would have absolutely insisted on that. Absolutely. Can Crawford beat Canelo? I wouldn't entirely rule it out, but all things considered, over 12 rounds. I mean, yeah, the more I think about it, let's put it this way. Currently, I have more faith in Crawford than I've ever done. But the inactivity, the size difference, I really do expect Canelo to win, or I think it would be more likely that he would win. But would an upset surprise me? Not really, not that much. And I would like Crawford to win. I'm going to be rooting for Crawford. Salute, Big Joe says Bruce Gas Boxing, Jazz and more. Bruce Gas, one of the great boxing YouTubers. Love the guy. He does some fantastic lives. Bruce, love you, mate. Thank you very much for turning up. Canada's boxing channel. Bob says, do you think Shakur is the best technical boxer today? The best? I go with Crawford, maybe Usyk. Shakur of the youngsters. Should we draw a little line here and say under 30? Possibly. I like Bam a lot. I think Bam's about more than just power. It's good technique. Yeah. Good question, though, Bob. Tushin rants. Heed my warnings, great grandson. Am I your great grandson, Tushin? I'm deeply honoured. Rem. Joe, what's been your favourite show this year? Well, I got to be honest. The best fight, the one I've enjoyed the most, has been Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. I thought that was a fantastic event. The card was all right, but that fight, and I thought that was a gimmick fight. It just shows you sometimes you can be surprised. It's like when Joshua fought Klitschko. I thought, well, do we really need that? I thought Klitschko had retired. And it turned out to be a classic fight. And I think Conor Benn, for all his PED woes, and Chris Eubank Jr. for all his weight making woes and board fines, I think they put on a fantastic spectacle. Yeah. Simon Stevens, Joe Usyk, not only a great boxer, a great human being, humble, a class person. By the way, great channel. Thank you, Simon. I agree with you totally about Usyk. Gentleman, true gentleman, and a very, very fine human being. Rem says, I concur, my favourite boxing channel. Love you to bits, Rem. Thank you, mate. Also, Joe, you never did tell us what happened with you and the girl who you watched the Nigel Benn fight with. Oh, we dated for several months. She lived in Doncaster. I'd go up there. She'd come down to London, and it was all it petered out. It was very, very, it's quite a painful memory, actually, thinking about it, because I did like her, but as with most of the women in my life, they end up rejecting me. Bitches. Reese Cooper, problem is getting close enough to Usyk to land the body shots. The man barely stands still for a second. Yeah, good point, Reese. Good point, mate. Boxing Monkey, like the road, mate. Kimono, if you don't mind. No, I've got two kimonos, a black one and a blue one. A cross between GGG and Roger Moore. Yeah, I'll get the cigarette holder out, the smoking jacket on, and do a bit of the old Terry Thomas. Goes to the big text. Usyk said there would be no Fury trilogy due to Fury's association with some Russian guy. Really? That is a new one on me, Tex. Elaborate if you know more about it. Oh, that's new to me. Can you put something else in the comments? I'd like to read it. Michael Page, late to the party, Joe. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah, and thank you for joining us. You're always welcome, mate. You know that. Peter Southwest, we love you, Joe. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Peter. Much love to you and everyone else. Jethro, Usyk is not old and Daniel is not an all-time great. Blind Freddie can see who wins. Okay. Maybe you're right, Jethro. Maybe you're right, mate. Shot says nobody gave Dubois a chance last time. Times have changed. Yeah, I give him a shot, all right. I'll give him a shot. Don't worry about that. I mean, I think he was a rank underdog the first time round, and I think that was proven because he lost almost all the rounds. But this time round, I expect him to be a lot more dangerous. A lot more dangerous. Goes to big text. Do you remember Ozbek Nazarov? Yes. Featherweight or lightweight? Refresh my memory. Lightweight. Yeah, I do remember him. I can't remember who. 90s we're talking, aren't we? Mid-90s? Refresh my memory, Tex. Rem says, what's the weakest division right now, Joe? Well, everyone talks about the middleweights, it being a sort of down period for the middleweights. Go through them. It might be the middleweights. Who have we got a light middle at the moment? I suppose middleweights. Yeah, middleweights is a good shout. But these things are secular. It'll improve. Talent will come along. Yeldar. Hello, Yeldar. I'm getting the impression you might be from Ireland. Just elementary, my dear Watson. Dubois won't freeze, but it will look like it. Usyk's a dancer and Daniel's a plodder. Yeah. Can't really disagree with that. Enough said. Shawnee B. Usyk will stop Dubois again in 9 rounds. Certainly possible. Hand of Doom. I think Usyk wins in 7 or less. Again, possible. I'm thinking it goes longer, but yeah, it's all feasible. Rem says, are there any fighters that you watch, Joe, and you have extremely nervous for them when they're fighting? Happens to me sometimes. I need to disconnect myself. I used to feel like that about Tommy Hearns back in the day, but that was because he was kill or be killed. He was such a brilliant boxer, Tommy Hearns. Boxer. Sugar Ray Leonard couldn't outbox Tommy Hearns. He had to defeat him by fighting him. And don't forget, Hearns for that first Leonard match came in at 145. For a guy who's, was he 6'1", 6'2", was ridiculously thin. He'd overtrained, he said. Emmanuel Stewart said he'd overtrained. Not that's Leonard's fault. But he was a beautiful boxer, but he could be knocked out. I remember the first fight I won some money on this, actually. I just had a hunch that R.M. Barkley's style was all wrong for him. And of course, he knocked Hearns out in the 3rd round of their first fight and then won on points the second time. But when when Iran got cut early, I thought, oh, mate, there goes my money. And then he landed that enormous, was it a left hook? And Tommy just sort of froze and fell back, crashed onto his back. Fucking hell, I'll tell you what. So I used to worry about him. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, as much as I like Joe Parker, like I said earlier, I think he's a bit fragile. When I watch him fight, I think, I hope we don't get it clocked, cleanly, you know what I mean? But I know what you mean about, worrying about certain fighters you're watching. They're like accidents waiting to happen. Josh Kelly is another one. I don't know about him. Josh Kelly is right. Bear in mind, mate. Hold on, mate. Hold on. Boxstars TV. What's up, Joe, mate? I'm good, mate. Boxstars TV. I hope you're doing good. Tef Vision, is this? Usyk's only got a packet of crisps overweight. Yeah, it means nothing, mate. It means I don't even think it is being overweight. I really don't. Maverick says, anyone remember a boxing movie from 2004, The Calcium Kid with Orlando Bloom? Yes, I've heard that. I haven't seen it. Was it any good? But I do know the movie you mean. I think I gave it swerved it because I thought Orlando Bloom was a boxer. No, it ain't happening. That little blonde guy from fucking Lord of the Bollocks or whatever it was. What the fuck's wrong with this thing now? Something's gone wrong with my chat. Bear with me, lads. Bear with me, fellas. Rem says, imagine Zhang's power with a good gas tank, unbeatable, I think. It'd be very, very difficult to beat, but that gas tank, and he's no spring chicken, is he? He's in his 40s now, so I don't think he'll come back. He must have made some serious money on those Riyadh shows. And he really got found out badly by Caballero. Caballero is such a good fighter. If he doesn't get his plaudits, it's going to be scandalous. He's going to be one of the most avoided fighters in recent heavyweight history. Boxing Monkey says, at Maverick, great UK boxing film 2017 called Journeyman, written, directed by Paddy Considine. Highly recommended. Am I right in saying Jodie Whittaker plays his missus? I think I am. I remember that film. That is a great film. Paddy Considine is fucking amazing. Brilliant. Dead Man's Shoes and all that. Brilliant. Who's more clever, Trump or Dubois? Ellipses. Tumbleweed. Joe, are there any words on who the referee and judges will be? Christopher Saavedra, is that your name, mate? Christopher asked this. I don't know. I should have looked this up beforehand because it is an important question, referees and judges. But as someone mentioned earlier on, we need a tough, strong referee who ain't going to put up with any bollocks. But yeah, someone have a look while I'm doing this. Who are the referee and judges? Please put it in the chat if you don't mind. Darius Horn, Dubois should come in wearing a Russian football t-shirt. that would only rile Usyk even more, inspire him even more, I think. Canada's boxing channel. Bob says, big Liston fan. In my opinion, he would thrive in today's game. Yeah, I agree with you, Bob. I really do agree with you, mate. But of course, as we said, what was he, like a 212 sort of guy? Not that big, was he? By today's standards, but I think that can be a little deceptive. I think, yeah, I agree with you. He had the right mentality for it. And of course, with modern training methods and so on, it would have been better. Simon Abbott says, Dubois has his horns locked in on Usyk's in the way in. He looks focused, and for that, I give him 40% chance for the win. Usyk ain't daft. He'll know Daniel will come out all guns blazing. Yeah, I think so. I think you got it on the money there, mate. Shot says those Caballero body shots are the best in the business. Completely agree. And when you think about it, there aren't that many heavies that really bang to the body consistently and with that amount of success Very, very good body puncher. And I like his mentality as well, Caballero. He really does seem to have this very focused, very serene, perhaps the wrong word, but he's relaxed. He's very naturally confident. Kind of like a little bit like Usyk is. So, yeah. What's this? A super chat? £5, £4.99 from Jack Truster. Thank you, Jack. Much appreciated. Big up, Joe. Keep up the great boxing content. I've got a feeling Dubois will pull off the upset tomorrow. Father Time is undefeated. A fair comment, mate. A fair comment, my friend. And thank you very, very much for the $4.99. I really, really do appreciate that. And you know, I don't come here looking for money. So I know you guys, you ain't got a lot of money in your wallets, so you don't have to give me anything. If you're rich, unless you're rich, you can give me as much as you like. I don't give a fuck about that. But you know, it's enough to have you here. Seriously, thank you very much. Rem says, "What is your favourite snack, Joe?" Mine are chocolate magic stars. I like hard candy, like old school, like pear drops, cola cubes, all that sort of stuff. That's the sweets. Yeah, I ate some chocolate, but not a great deal. Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm a fat bastard. I'll eat fucking anything. Go on then, all of you lot. What am I missing? Leave your favourite snacks and sweets down below. If you've read Chris Eubank Jr.'s autobiography, by the way, there is a very funny chapter where he simply talks about sweets. And he said he's like a connoisseur of the confectionery or something, typical Eubank thing. And he talks about, you know, how he was a kid, he used to nick sweets, but these were class and these are not so good, but these are okay, you know. Yeah, good old Chris Eubank. Jethro. Usyk 17 is Usyk's company. His former manager now holds a role in the organisation, but I'm not sure what they're doing. That's interesting, Jethro. Yeah, mate. Yeah. I didn't know that. Thanks for the up. But yeah, they'll do something. They'll you know, take these Ukrainian kids and nurture them. By the way, talking of Ukrainian fighters, I did a video a long while ago about this young girl. Her name is Kira. I can't remember her surname. She is Ukrainian. I think she's about 16 or 17 now. At the time, she was about 14 or 15. This kid is going to be a superstar. She calls herself the Pink Panther, and she did an exhibition on Wednesday during the open workout. Young kid, young girl, brilliant fight. I've seen loads of footage of her. I mean, you know Usyk does all the juggling and everything. I've seen this kid do all that. I mean, this ain't boxing training, but it shows how talented she is, how athletic she is. She's doing it. There's a ball and there's a big medicine ball, and there's a plank, and she's standing on it and she's juggling while balancing on the plank. She does all sorts of shit like that. And then you think, oh, maybe it's just a gimmick. And then you see her spar. You know, she spars boys. She's fucking amazing fighter. She's going to be a superstar. She could beat most pros now. Shawnee B, will AJ fight Jake Paul next? Any truth in this? I hope not. What a fucking abortion of a fight that would be. Jethro, are you going to be like Golden Boy or Matchroom? If I was a fighter, I'd probably sign with Matchroom. Out of the two, I've always been a bit cautious of Queensbury because Uncle Frank does like a writ or two, doesn't he? And from what I've heard behind the scenes, people actually, a lot of the industry people get on better with Frank than they do with Eddie. That's what I've heard. I don't know whether it's true or not, but he's more approachable than Eddie. And also Eddie's sister is involved in Matchroom as well, and is quite a hard-nosed businesswoman. You know, you don't want to sort of cross her or anything. I don't know. But you hear these things. I don't have any great inside information. Mark Gilroy, good to see you, Joe. Loved your thumbnail title for the Big Baby Miller video you did. Very funny. Oh, large infant. Yeah. I can kick him out, mate. Kick him out of boxing. Dominic Avery. Hi, Joe. Just watched the Usyk versus Dubois one, the press conference. No difference to number 2. Same wind-up toy. Yeah. Nothing to see there, really, was there, Dominic? Not really. Darius Horn, Conor Benn versus Shakur and Eubank versus Canelo would be next if they don't fight each other again. Well, you think about it, right? Shakur's coming up from feather, isn't he? Because he's a lightweight now. and he probably is settled into lightweight because he was very young when he won his first belt. But welterweight with Ben, it seems the roles are reversed, and now Ben is a much bigger guy, but obviously Shackle's more skillful. Eubank versus Canelo. I picked Canelo to win that one, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Rem says, looks like Eubank Ben isn't happening according to Turkey. Eubank doesn't want it on that date, and I'm personally happy. Eubank should move up. I think he should move up as well. Yes. Owen Foster, genuine question, Joe. Do you believe Antonio Margarito did load his gloves against Cotto and others? I believe he may have, but the media made it out to be a lot worse. Yeah, the gloves were tampered. The gloves were illegal. I don't think there's a doubt about that. And you have to question the victory over. Yeah, I mean, I think he did load his gloves against Cotto. We have to question that victory. But I think there are other people that have fought with, shall we say, eccentric hand wraps, and one of them was Tito Trinidad. Lots of questions about the way he used to wrap his hands, and he's not the only one. I just want to think of off the top of my head, but yeah. Simon Bird, £10 off Simon. Thank you, Simon, mate. Thank you, Simon. Much appreciated. Big fan of the channel is Simon, and I'm a big fan of Simon, mate. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. He says, Joe, I'm worried about you. Please heed Tushan. I think it's important. Tushan. Where are you, Tushan? Come on, chop. We want to hear about, who is it he thinks he's Willy Wonka or someone? Oh, fuck, he's talking about. Jim Neversink. What a great name. Everyone in South Africa knows about Joburg Lebs. Very kind, well-mannered people, but oh my God, absolutely ferocious and fearless if you anger them. Kevin Lorena is a Leb from Joburg, is he? I like Lorena. I think Lorena's got a lot about him. I thought he did really well against Hooney. He's probably kicking himself he didn't finish Dubois off when he did. And I know he had some personal tragedy just before he did he lose his father before he fought Hooney, and that inspired him. I think if he can keep that going, he'll give Okoli a good fight. But he's a bit on the small side, isn't he? And it's not enough to say Okoli is a former cruiser, because to be honest with you, I mean, he's looked fucking huge at heavyweight, isn't he? Massive geezer. Oh, I'm getting cramp. Oh, can't sit on the floor now. Darius says, if Dubois comes into Barrington Levy, it's on like Donkey Kong. All right, mate. Shot says, Ben versus Eubank was a cracking fight. Both fighters got credit. Yeah, deservedly so. Tushan. Oh, hold on. Wait for it. Strap yourselves in. Thanks for spreading my knowledge, Simon. I am here to warn of terrible things. Ooh. Thank you, Tushan. Owen Foster, Lennox Lewis, in my opinion, one of the heavyweight strongest heavyweights. It was shocking how he made good contenders like Goliath. You mean Golotta, yeah? And Iron Chin men like both that look like bums, massive shoulders. Yeah, I remember him when he started out. His debut was against Al Malcolm, wasn't it? The journeyman in Britain, and he just swatted him aside in 2 rounds. And I remember thinking, he's raw. He's too raw. He's too thin. He needs to fill out, because he was such a tall, skinny amateur. And he ends up, by the end of his career, he was this big, enormous, tough, strong geezer. A lot of time for Lennox. Liked him a lot. Yeah. Paul Johnson, in a recent YouTube channel interview with Usyk, he mentioned Fury and allegiance with a Russian. It was a bit vague. Not sure what the channel was. Okay, Paul. Yeah. New one on me, mate. But I only know the Russians. Ghost of Big Tech says, I only know the Russian's name, Umar Kremlev. Yeah, that name rings a bell. Yeah. Didn't he have something to do with the Russian guy that Lucas Brown knocked out over in, where was it? Yeah, this guy's name is ringing a bell, Kremlev. So there's something, I think is he a war criminal or something like that? Is he on the United Nations wanted list or something like this? Yeah, I know. Rem says, every time people mention Joshua's gold medal at the Olympics, I feel sorry for the Cuban and the Italian who he clearly lost to. Yeah, I thought, the Cuban, Italian, yeah. Bit of home cooking, maybe. Though that could be said of many medalists, says Rem. Yeah, you're right. You're right. A lot of them. I mean, the obvious one is Jones, 1988 in Seoul. The biggest robbery I've ever seen, amateur or pro. Nothing comes close. Shocking. Absolutely stunning. Boxing Monkey, Eubank Jr. versus Shiraz at 168. I'd make 40-60 in Shiraz's favour. Thoughts? I worry about Eubank boiling himself down to 160 on all those occasions. I think he might have damaged his body just as Roy Jones did, coming down from heavyweight back to 175. At this particular point, I would favour Shiraz. Yeah. Owen Foster, who would you pick, Joe, as an underrated former champion in any weight class? I'll pick one. Kelly the Ghost Pavlik, iron-chinned, underrated skills, great power and brave. Yeah, he's a good choice. Underrated champs. Trying to pick one. Difficult to just pick one, isn't it? I'll tell you someone I liked a lot was the Liverpudlian Paul Hodgkinson back in the late 80s, early 90s. He was WBC champ. He was a good fighter. I liked him a lot. I don't know whether he was underrated, but he's currently forgotten. A lot of these 80s and 90s champs are forgotten. It's not really fair, is it? Good question, that. It's got me thinking. I might do a video on that. Underrated champions. Very, very good question. But Kelly Pavlik is a good pick, Owen. Yeah. Maverick says, without a clue, 1988 is the best Sherlock Holmes movie with Ben Kingsley and Michael Caine. Have I seen that one? I'm taking it Kingsley plays Holmes and Caine plays Watson. Don't remember seeing it though. Goes to Big Tex. Navarov was lightweight. Beat Joey Gamache. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought it was lightweight. Yeah, Joey Gamache, of course. Am I right in saying he only lost twice to Nazarov and Arturo Gatti? Because he was a two-weight world titleist. He won 2 vacant belts, Gamache. And I think am I right in saying that Nazarov beat him in his first defence after he'd won the vacant belt? I'm doing this off memory, so I might not be accurate. Who's this? Scotch O'Leary Joseph Stunner. Good morning. Thoughts on Safiri versus Mickelson? I got fucking clue, mate. Safiri versus Mickelson. No idea, mate. No idea. You got me. You'll have to tell me, mate, on that one. Rob Marr. Hi, Joe. Thoughts on the son of Don Charles? I'm sick to death of him. Well, yeah. Kind of ignorant, isn't he? Not very respectful. Do we really care what his opinion is on anything? I personally don't. He had an underwhelming boxing career. Packed it in at the first sign of trouble. No, mate, no. Not for me. Not for me. Who else we got? Cool dressing gown, Joe. Crazy Dan says, it's a kimono, mate. It's fancy. It's a kimono. Mr. Will Guitar, awesome to see you streaming, sir. Thank you, Mr. Will. You've been on here before, haven't you? I recognise that. Yeah, recognise your little thumbnail thing. Darius Horn, what is the best fight of all time? My personal favourite is Nigel Benn versus Gerald McClellan, 25th of February 1995. Best fight I've ever seen. Oh, I wasn't there. I didn't watch it live. I watched it in London in some girl's house. Goes to Big Tex. Nazarov was WBA champ from 93 to 98. Was it that long? Okay. Yeah, I know he was a good fighter, yeah. Scotch O'Leary says Savannah Marshall or Chantel Cameron, based on looks and who would win in a fight. Savannah would win because she's bigger. Based on looks, probably Chantel, I suppose. Neil Warren, bring on chaos. Except that Daniel probably spells it with a K. But yeah. Peter Southwest, for me, the upcoming fight is like Rocky 4. The Russian one, wasn't it? Well, if it's anything like Rocky 4, we're in for a treat, aren't we, mate? Owen Foster, how would you see Nigel Benn or Aaron Barkley doing against Hagler at their absolute peak? I pick Hagler to beat both. I see Hagler outpointing Barkley and stopping Benn after surviving a scare. I kind of agree. He'd beat them both, yeah. Over the old 15-round distance, he might stop Barkley, chop him up and stop him on his feet. But yeah, I don't think Benn would give much of a scare to Hagler. I think Hagler would diffuse him and stop him. Boxing Monkey says, it's a kimono, Dan. Yes, it is. Well said, Boxing Monkey. Rem says, what are your thoughts on Leo Atang, Joe? I haven't seen much of him. He had a very good debut. Looked impressive. Only 18 and a young kid. Good luck to the kid. Wish him nothing but the very best. Seems like a nice lad. You've got to live the life. Don't let it go to your head. Get good people around you. And he's got the skills and he's got the raw materials. But there's more to it than that. Canada's boxing channel. Kabayel interview today. He thinks Usyk will win and wants an Usyk fight as a homecoming fight in Germany. Yeah, I'd love to see that, mate. Absolutely. Mr. Will Guitar, what do you think of Dubois? What do you think is Dubois' best fight given all the circumstances? His best performance? I know what you're going to say. It's an obvious choice, but I think what he did to Joshua was very, very, very eye-catching. And yes, you can say Joshua's past his best. He's mentally fragile, about whatever spin you want to put on it. But I just think the way that he just said, right, I'm coming straight at you. And he went at him with absolutely no fear. And also Hrgovic. But with Hrgovic, he was a bit dirty with the head and everything. Against Joshua, he didn't have to be dirty. He just smashed him up. I think that was a very, very good performance. Owen asks, what do you think, Joe, is one of the biggest problems boxing fans fall back on? I'll give you an example. Many fans believe guys from the Robinson and Marciano days believe they trash modern fighters. I think the opposite. No, I think there is a tendency to look at things with rose-tinted spectacles, which is wrong, of course. Rather foolish, rather short-sighted spectacles. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I think Sugar Ray Robinson deserves his status as probably the greatest fighter of all time, although you can argue certain others. Marciano would have been a modern-day cruiserweight and quite a small one. There's no way he'd have beaten someone like Muhammad Ali, I don't think. I mean, I'm not knocking Marciano. In his day, he was an entertaining, tough, very, very tough man. But because he retired undefeated, he's got that sort of kudos, which I don't care about undefeated records. I think they can be very deceptive. Peter says, Kabayel against Usyk. No way for Ajit. Yeah, it won't happen, will it? I wish it would, but it won't happen. Hadrada Rottweilers. Hi, Joe. Love from New Zealand. Hello. Hi, Hadrada Rottweilers. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Watch your videos all the time. Like your honesty and immense knowledge of the game. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Rem says, who is the best fighter from the 70s, 90s you think Chisora could spring an upset on? Okay, now 70s and 90s. Spring an upset. He'd have a chance of outworking someone like Bone Crusher, because Bone Crusher didn't fire a lot. Tony Tucker, maybe. I mean, Derek has always been a sort of between a B and a B plus heavyweight. When he's at his best, B plus, usually a B. sometimes a C+. Difficult to say who I think he would have beaten as an upset. I mean, I think he lost the Kubrat Pulev rematch. That got him that ridiculous third fight with Fury, but I still think he lost that fight to Pulev. Mr. Will Guitar, there's some hindsight in mind, but I feel AJ had such a poor run in given his opponents in the lead up and his Usyk losses. I thought he was looking half decent, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sort of second guess. Yeah, I thought he was looking all right. I just think Usyk wanted it and was determined and was incredibly sharp that night. I mean, even allowing for Joshua's, frailties. I think it was a good performance by Dubois. Very good. And I think he answered a lot of questions with Miller as well. There was in the middle of the round, about the 5th round, Miller was getting to him, and you thought, oh, hello, he's going to mentally collapse again, but he didn't. And I think he answered a few questions there. That was a big turning point, that fight. So Miller did serve a purpose after all, even though he's a fat cheating fuck. Scotch Oilery says, who would win, Frank Smith or Ade Oladipo? Dev Sani and Coogan Cassius, obviously Cassius, Joe Stunner and Bob will beat the crap out of me. The most energetic thing I do is move from one side of the sofa to the other. Bob from Canada's Boxing Channel. I mean, he's a bit older than I am, a few years, but he's working on a farm, horses, chopping up wood and everything. Fucking hell, the most I do is chop up a bar of fruit and nut. No, he'd kill me. Shots. I don't think there's been a German heavyweight champion in my lifetime. Caballero would be that man. Yeah. Well, Axel Schultz almost did it against Foreman. Perhaps should have got that decision. But yeah, you're right, mate. Pompey Eden 7. When's the fight starting? Main event probably be about 10:30 maybe. Don't quote me on that though, please don't. Hadrada Rottweilers. Hi Joe, I agree with your comment on Joe Parker, but he deserves a shot in the title for the title next. He's willing to take on any top fighters, unlike many of his counterparts. I can't argue with that, mate. I can't argue with that at all. You're right. Mr. Will Guitar. I'm not a Fury fanboy or buying into controversy, but actually thought the shot against Usyk was fine, even after first replays, etc. Don't like how Team Dubois have conducted themselves, of course. Oh, you mean the low blow controversy? Okay, I thought it was low, but you're in good company, mate, because I know Carl Frampton and Antonio Tarver feel it was legit, but I beg to differ myself. Owen Foster, the 2000 heavyweights, in my opinion, are very similar to the 80s heavyweights. Fighters like Tim Witherspoon, Corey Sanders in the era were very talented. Due to a lack of training, weren't truly great. Well, Corey Sanders had a stop-start career. He obviously knocked out Vlad in a couple of rounds. That was his high point, and then lost to Vitali. Witherspoon was really talented, really very, very good fighter, and should have had more success. Although he did hold title. Was it two versions, WBC and WBA heavyweight titles, but never really made as much money as he deserved to. Rob Marr, Joe, what's your take on Ring Magazine and Riyadh leaving Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 negotiations? Might be the end of the fight. You don't know, do you? But yeah, they probably wanted it as pay-per-view, and Turkey was like, nah, no more pay-per-views. But then good for Turkey. I wouldn't trust the guy, but credit where it's due. I support correct actions. The referee is G-Man Boxing. All the judges are George Warren. I'll leave G-Man. I like G-Man. He's a great guy. I've met G-Man a few times. He's a lovely, lovely fella. And he's just a young man trying to make it in broadcasting. So I ain't got a problem with him. I like the guy. I like G-Man. Mr. Will Guitar. Don't forget drugs and various addictions as well. He's talking to a comment that Owen made. Scotch, O'Leary, the body snatcher, Dillian White, arguably the 4th best heavyweight of this era. Do you know what? His resume is good, isn't it? He has got a good resume. He hasn't always won, but he's reversed one of his defeats. He had a chance to revenge another one against AJ, but didn't come off, did it? Because of his PED predilections, but he has got a good resume. Peter Southwest gives me £5. Love your content, Joe. Peter, thank you sincerely, sir, for that £5. I much appreciate that. Really great. Thank you all if you're donating. Much appreciated. Would love to see you live stream a fight between your good self and the Gad. Rem says Rem. Gad's probably one of the people I'd feel confident of beating. Yeah. Is that a sense of false confidence, though? Hi, everyone. No, we won't go there. Rem, would love to see you. Oh, yeah. Mr. Will Guitar, £5. Thank you, sir. This is me opening purse bids for Joe Stunner versus Gareth Davies over 6-2s. 6-2s? Can't we make it 4? Anyone else? Good old Gareth. We haven't seen Gareth on the channel lately, have we? We need to get him back on. Shot says, remember what happened at Wembley in '66? They could rob Usyk like they robbed West Germany. Oh, yeah, over the line, yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Scotch, O'Leary, £5. Thoughts on English Delight? English Delight? What is English Delight? I appreciate the £5. Do you want me to go buy some English Delight, whatever that is, for £5 worth, and see what I think of it? But I don't know what it is, mate. I really don't. Rem says, I hate our fans call close fights robbery sometimes. It'll happen no matter what the fight. Yeah, it's bullshit, isn't it? Oh, this was a robbery. That's a robbery. Robbery. No, shut up. Close fights are close fights. And worse still, well, you obviously don't like Mexicans. You obviously don't like the Irish. You obviously don't like Americans because you voted against or you thought the other guy lost. I mean, piss off. How old are these people? Jesus Christ. Simon Bird says, favourite snack sweets, aniseed balls, beg your pardon, decorum, pepperami hot stick, it's getting very erotic here, Bombay Bad Boy pot noodle, and fizzy bubblegum flavoured bottles, not the same time, obviously. I'm with you, Simon, I'm with you, mate. Darius Horn, is Matchroom losing the boxers to the ring slowly? Well, they lost the UK scene, didn't they, Darius, And you should always look after your base, and definitely Warren, with all of his decades of experience, made sure he took over the UK again, took it back off Hearn, and then built from there. That's the foundation of any business, your home, your base to work from. But I don't think Matchroom are finished, not by a long shot, obviously not. Mr. Will Guitar, Rob Moore, the son of Dong Charles, really irritated me as well. Yeah, I think it irritates everyone, mate. Scotch O'Leary. My favourite snack is English Delight, followed by Turkish Delight and Delicious Ori. I'm with you on the Turkish Delight. The others? Shots, 3 knockdowns in a round should have been enough for Lorena against Dubois. That didn't sit right with me. He took a knee, didn't he? Twice. Yeah. Rem says Umar Kremlev runs the IBA boxing. Yes. I'll get him all wires crossed. Here's me thinking he's some fucking war criminal. No, I know who he is. I know who he is now, Rem. Thanks for the up. Yeah, there's been talk of, all sorts of skullduggery going on, hasn't there? Yeah. What has Usyk got against him? Maybe he's in with Putin. There's obviously that Russian-Ukrainian thing going on, which is not good. Let me find where I was. Yeah, Delicious Ori's quit, isn't he? Very good. I kind of respect that, though. If he feels his heart's not in it, you've got to get out. You can't just fucking hang around in that game unless you're 100% there, physically and mentally. So if he thought, I'm done with this, I'm not feeling it. Fair enough. Darius Horn, has Ben Shalom gone on a bender after the Eubank Ben money? Probably. Well, he certainly lost his contract with Sky, hasn't he? So I don't know where he's going next. Rem says boxer may be signing with BBC Player for small-scale shows. Doesn't bode well for them. Okay. Paul Johnson. IBA President Umar Kremlev. Yeah, look at the stage with Tyson Fury and the IBA Golden Era press conference held in Istanbul this week to unveil plans for a new bare-knuckle boxing approach. Interesting. Yeah. Darius Horn, George Fox versus Usyk, mate. Versus Usyk, mate. Lapping on the undercard of Dubois beats Usyk, and I don't understand that. Don't understand that. You've got me on that one, mate. Right, fellas. What are we gone now? We're nearly at the 2-hour mark. So I'm going to have to love you and leave you. Before I do, I want to say, Peter, thank you for that £5, Peter South. Where are you watching the fight? Peter, I'm watching it via other means. Of course. What else? Guys, ladies, gentlemen, anything in between. I'm sorry that I haven't had a chance to get to all your comments, but I really, really appreciate you turning up, especially if you've dished out a few quid, which is very, very kind of you. And what can I say? We'll do this again sometime. I hope you enjoy the fight tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good fight. I know some people think, well, rematches don't really cut it, but you know what I mean? I actually think it'll be a good one. Of course, I could be wrong. It would not be the first time. I do not have any money on this fight, but I'll settle for it being a good old scrap. And I do think Usyk will win. Thank you for joining me. It's really, really great of you to do this. And I love speaking to you all, your top guys and girls. Thanks for your support, your continuing support with the channel. And enjoy the boxing this week. There's plenty of boxing. Don't forget the stuff from America as well, if you're interested. Bam, I always like watching Bam, although Cafu's a bit of a gimme for him, I think. But I'll watch it anyway. And there's some good undercard fights as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much indeed. Peace out. Much love. I'll catch you later.